Language learning hacks. Let's talk about that today. First off, let's talk about the fact I hate that word. I hate the word hack. However, it's very common, and I know that if I use that word, you will know what I'm talking about. We are looking for the fast track, the easy way to fix our language skills, right? The skills that we have not learned yet, or have improperly learned, or not learned to the degree that we want to, etc. We want to become proficient at a language or languages, and we want to do so as quickly as humanly possible. So today, I am going to share with you 3 of my top tricks for accelerating your language learning. Hi everyone, I'm Bettina, and I am a language coach and tutor. So I have been teaching English as a second language or as a foreign language since 2009, and I have been doing so online since 2014. I have taught students in every age range and from all over the globe. It is wonderful. I love teaching English. But not only that, I am also a language learner. So I have kind of both sides of the coin going on. I have learned a great deal in the years that I have been teaching, tutoring, coaching, and I have decided that I need to share more of that just in general to the world. So that's why I'm here. And thank you for joining me. If any of what I end up saying in these videos is useful to you, please remember to like the video and to subscribe, because I will be sharing a lot more of what I've learned over the years in these videos. But for right now, let's go back to these language learning hacks, shall we? So here's the thing. I believe that we learn the easiest and the fastest, those things that we have to interact with the most, and or those things which are the most important to us, so that we relate to the best. Therefore, these tricks I'm going to share all have to do with that idea in mind. So first, I'm going to talk about substituting your target language for some of the things, or as many of the things as you like, that you already do, your favorite things. So for example, if you're a music fan, if you like listening to music with lyrics, start listening to your target language. Learn some songs in that target language. As a kid, I used to listen to a lot of music. I don't so much anymore, but I remember doing that. I had songs in French and in Spanish that I loved. I didn't understand what the song said. I was never that interested that I spent the time to translate the lyrics, but I enjoyed the sound of it, and I was able to sing along even though I didn't know what the words meant, because that's the whole point in music. It's lyrical, it's got a rhythm to it, so songs are very often a good way to get a rhythm of a language. The same thing goes for if you are a movie fan or if you are a TV fan. Find series and movies in your target language that you can watch, something that interests you. It does have to interest you, and start to watch those instead of what you would normally watch in your native language. Again, it does not have to be something that you can understand right away. I have done this, let's see, what's a good example? Certain languages, so if it's German or Spanish, I can pretty well keep track with what I'm watching. I don't really need the subtitles. If it's something, say, in an Asian language, Korean or Japanese, currently I have become fascinated with a couple of Japanese movies and dramas, and quite a few Korean dramas. They have very good Korean dramas. So I don't know these languages. I've learned, I know no Korean. I've learned a handful of words in Japanese. I can pick out maybe 5 in what I hear. However, I'm interested enough in the movie that I can watch it, and I will watch it with subtitles so I know what's going on. I will read the subtitles. Sometimes I will turn the subtitles off because now I've already read those. I know what's going on. Now I want to see what's going on. So do that. It doesn't matter if you don't understand it to start with. Just start incrementally replacing the things you normally do in your native language with those target language options. I've also mentioned a couple of other things that I do, cooking and knitting. So with cooking, there are certain foods and things that I enjoy from other cultures, from other places that I've visited around the world. I will purposely look for recipes in that language so that if I want to eat that food, I have to read the recipe. Do that if you enjoy it. It's really quite fun, actually. Same thing with knitting. I will get knitting patterns in another language. So again, I have to force myself to use that if I want to do that. Now, the only caveat with this, which I have mentioned before, do not do this to such an extent that it becomes a hindrance to you, that it becomes frustrating and something that you no longer want to do. Do it only enough that it stays fun. Once it starts becoming a hassle, ease off of it. Take some things out again. It has to always remain fun. So that is my first tip for you, is to integrate your target language into activities you already do. Next item, make a friend. This one, many people want to learn how to speak in another language. Most people, I think, do. Sometimes they don't. Maybe they need a language for reading and writing purposes, for work, or just for interest. And that's fine. But even in those cases, make a friend, make a pen pal. Everyone who I know who was learning English became so good at it because they were using it constantly in interactions with me and other native English speakers. So for example, as a kid, I had a best friend in Austria. She was learning English in school. When I met her, she hadn't learned very much yet, but we became pen pals, and for years we would write back and forth, but we wrote in English. Her English became absolutely amazing and practically better than mine. My German still stayed the same, useless. I have another friend in Switzerland who she learned her English already quite a while ago, before she met me, but through interactions with other people, through interactions with the things that she enjoyed, like music and movies, her English is excellent. It's practically perfect. She barely has an accent. So for everyone, again, that I know who wanted to actively interact with their target language, they improved dramatically. What about me? I have friends, family, etc. in German-speaking places, and yet I am not fluent in German. Well, for one thing, I was much more shy. I was not as willing to speak with people, even my family, in German because I was afraid of making mistakes. And unfortunately for me, I didn't have to speak German. Even with my grandparents who didn't know any English, there was always someone in the periphery, an aunt, an uncle, someone who knew English. So I always knew that I didn't really have to use my German, and that was a huge detriment to my learning. Massive. When I was in Spain teaching English, I knew I had learned Spanish. I had studied it for years in school. I couldn't put a sentence together when I got off the plane. But the Spaniards were so much better at being encouraging, at encouraging me to use Spanish, and so friendly about it and there were many more people in Spain at the time that did not know English. So by default, I had to use Spanish. Now, I still was too shy. I did not improve as much as I could have, But by the time I left Spain, I was conversational. I could carry on basic conversations one-on-one. It was a little more difficult if it was one on many, but I could do it. And that was a huge improvement from getting off the plane and not being able to put a sentence together. So create relationships somehow, some way. If it's making a friend, having a pen pal, a boyfriend or girlfriend, someone who find people that you want to interact with, and it will help you to amplify your language learning. And lastly, my third major tip, because this is so often ignored, accountability. Many of us make plans, we make goals, we set goals, we make all these minute plans and learning schedules. The problem is, many of us, if we are not being held accountable in some other way, meaning we don't have to go to a class and show up and get a grade, we don't have an appointment with somebody that we feel we have to keep, we don't have some external something driving us to meet those goals and show up for those plans that we made, very often we don't do it. I know I don't, and I know I'm not alone. But I will always show up for an appointment I made with someone else. So find a way to make yourself accountable. If self-motivation works for you, it doesn't for me, unfortunately, use it. Set some sort of accountability structure into your plan to check in with yourself and show up for it. If it does not work for you, like me, if you work much better on external accountability, contact me. All of my information is in the description box. That's what I do. I am a language coach and I deal with language planning and language accountability because I know how important it is. Even in my tutoring, when I'm doing tutoring, the vast majority of my students don't really need tutoring. They are setting appointments to keep themselves accountable. And if that's what you need, that's what I'm here for. So let me know. But this is a major factor in my opinion, and it is one of the top things, I think, that prevent students of language from improving their language in the time frame that they want to. Almost always it's a matter of they started allowing other things higher priority and their language learning dropped. So keep that in mind. All right, so those were my 3 top tips. I know this was kind of a short video, but that's not always bad with these little hacks, right? So if you do these 3 things, I can practically guarantee that you will very quickly accelerate in your language learning goals. You just have to stick to it. So, and again, if you need any help with that, as mentioned, I can provide help with creating a plan and creating an accountability structure for that plan. So please contact me if you are interested. And that is all. That is what I wanted to talk about today. Those are my top tips for language learning. I hope you enjoyed them. If you did, please remember to like the video. Please remember to subscribe, because in these videos I am sharing all of what I have learned over the many years that I have been teaching English and over the many years that I have been a language learner myself. So thank you for joining me on the journey, and I will see you again in about a week.